Hey guys, so this is, I think, attempt number 37 in trying to do this video on what a virtual machine is. The problem I keep running into is I go too far down the geek rabbit hole. So if that happens in this video and I use terminology that you're like, what the hell is that? Please let me know, shoot me an email, tell me in the forum. But what I'm trying to do is boil this down to just what is a virtual machine and how it can be beneficial. As you can see, we're looking at my fantastic Windows XP desktop. But this is actually, let me pull back the curtain a little bit, a virtual machine that's running on my physical Windows 10 computer. So, and what is this made up of? So there are applications like VMware Workstation Player, I believe is the free version, or Oracle VirtualBox, which is free, both of which, well, I have the professional version of the VM Workstation, which is what I use in my day IT job. But then I also have Oracle VM VirtualBox, which is what that XP machine is running on. So what those type of applications do is, let me find the desktop here again. So this Windows XP machine, bring back the good old days, right? So there's the C drive for this, and as far as my home network or anything outside of what we're looking at right here, on my home network, everything sees this XP machine as a real physical machine, even though it's not. It's just, in reality, this collection of files. This C drive over here is this file right here, virtual disk image. Excuse me a second. So the VMware Workstation or the Oracle VirtualBox translates these files into this usable computer. So there's some advantages of that. There's some disadvantages of it. And I'll give you an example of a disadvantage. Where are you? This guy right here, Windows 98. So, just as if you would press a power button in on your physical computer and it shuts down, when Windows starts up it wants to check everything. I just closed this window. I didn't do the start, shut down, all that. So it's functioning just like any other computer would. And this is still buggy. The sounds of yesteryear, right? So that is one example, or one thing to point out, is the virtual machines have access to your physical hardware. So Windows 98 just blasted the startup theme through my physical sound card to my speakers. Now here's where there's a disadvantage. Disadvantage is, so obviously a printer I bought in the last 5-10 years is not going to have Windows 98 drivers. And drivers are the files that tell Windows how to use a piece of equipment it sees. So if you get a new printer and you get that CD with it, or download it from the support site and you install the software for that printer, that's then telling Windows how to use that printer. And you need drivers for any piece of equipment: sound, video cards, network card, wireless adapter, even hard drives. So if you think about it, in Windows 98, even when XP came out, SATA drives either didn't exist or weren't widely adopted. So solid state drives didn't exist in '98. Didn't really exist during the run of a good portion of the run for Windows XP. So the virtual software like Oracle VirtualBox, and I'm just going to stick with Oracle because it's easier just to stick with one type instead of going back and forth between VMware. What they do is they translate, they're that middleware between your physical equipment to your virtual operating system, your virtual XP, your virtual Windows 7. So it may see that equipment, but there may not be any drivers out for it. So if Windows XP ended back in 2013, 2014, somewhere around there, and a printer that came out in 2018, HP, Brother, Canon, they're not going to go and make a driver for a dead operating system. So that's one of the disadvantages. I'm actually going to stop here for a second. Alright, sorry, I had to stop and reset for a second because I started feeling myself going too far down the geek hole. So, continuing with the disadvantages, there will be struggles getting newer stuff to work with older operating systems. That's just the nature of the beast. Some of the advantages are it can give you a good buffer to use the virtual machine of the operating system you're used to, but then your physical machine is that new operating system, so it gives you kind of a buffer or a grace period to when you have time or desire to start learning that new operating system, but you can still function day to day on that virtual machine. Another advantage is, and I deal with this a lot in the IT job, legacy applications. And a legacy application is an application that will only run on hardware operating system X. And either the manufacturer of that application doesn't exist anymore, they don't support the operating system, and they want a huge chunk of money for me to upgrade to a version to the current operating system. Many different scenarios. What you can do is either build a virtual machine like this XP machine, or you can take the physical machine, your laptop, your desktop, whatever, and convert that into a virtual machine. So for example, if I were to convert, not all these drives, but convert my physical machine to a virtual machine, it would take this C drive with Windows and all my applications and convert it in this format that I can then use in here and launch it. So, and I apologize, you're going to see this video get really clippy and chopped and everything. I keep going back and watching what I'm doing and trying to trim out the fluff. So that was kind of a software advantage to run older applications, but what about hardware? Take for example the old bed scanners that were really popular, Windows 95, 98, XP, and that's where the drivers ended. You can create a virtual machine with that operating system, or if your physical machine that's been converted to a virtual machine ran that hardware, you can connect that to the virtual machine. So for example, flash drive, and my phone going nuts. So here in my physical Windows 10 computer, this is the flash drive I just plugged in. So in this virtual XP machine, I'm going to go to Devices, USB, and find my generic USB flash drive. So that disconnect was disconnecting from Windows 10, then that dum-dum was connecting into Windows 7. So hopefully here in a few seconds we'll see that flash drive pop up. There we go. So that's an example of running legacy hardware, old hardware. I connected it to my physical machine and just through a menu option I attached it, and here it is available in this virtual desktop. So I know this is all clear as mud. So just kind of in summary, a virtual machine is basically just another Windows machine that's been converted to an application to run on the physical computer. Some of the advantages are it allows you to run older applications, older hardware. Disadvantages are it's stuck in time. Windows 98, Windows XP, Windows 2000, Millennium, if any of you were unfortunate enough to buy that one. Windows 7, we're skipping over Vista because hopefully, skip Vista. 8.1, 8, and now even Windows 10, they all had an expiration date. The last operating system to really die was Windows 7. Not really getting supported on anything anymore. So this kind of gives you a solution to either retain the usability of those applications that are no longer in existence. Manufacturer went out of business, or it's just not cost effective to pay that maintenance fee or whatever to upgrade it to a newer version, or physical hardware that just will not work with the current operating systems. Or the other option is allowing you to use this virtual machine in an operating system in a version of Windows you're comfortable with, while still running on new hardware, supported hardware, and the new operating system, new version of Windows. It gives you that grace period, that buffer zone of being able to function day to day and use the utilities in the virtual machine, and then at your leisure learning that new operating system, that new version of Windows. So again, I know that's clear as mud. Please hit me up with all your questions. I'm more than happy to help. You know that you guys have been really helpful in my my in progress transitioning to locksmithing. This is one of the few forums where you don't get treated like a dumbass for asking a question. So don't hesitate to reach out to me with any of the IT world questions. So with that, you're probably more confused than when we started. But hopefully it gives you an idea of what I'm talking about and what is possible. So love to hear from you guys. And I don't remember where to stop my recording. There we go.